start, and then I'll grade his test when we take our first grade. But y'all go ahead, we are on healthcare facilities, which is module 2, where we're going to. And first thing we will do is we'll go over our homework. So we'll go over that together. Don't forget you largest motor 1.25. As a matter of fact, where's your old test? Did you bring it with you? I gotta pick those up. That page didn't change. That's the only one that didn't, but that one didn't. Just to let you know, if that helps any. While we're waiting, Nate, you and James, what you working on? Where are you working at? What's going on?
Well, this week my project got put on hold. I don't know, something, probably paperwork, something with the office and their office, so I wasn't able to do much.
So you haven't been working?
No, sir.
No. James?
Been working out there in Michelin.
About safety concern, what you working on? What you doing?
Just when you cut, make sure to wear your PPE. Just cut
PPE?
conduit, yeah, when you cut conduit.
That all what you doing, just cutting out conduit?
Yeah,
Are
like
you on any kind of ladders or scissors lift or anything like that?
we're on 6-foot ladders.
6-foot ladders? Office spaces, I guess, or something?
Yeah, they knocked down all the walls, redoing them.
Or they?
Yeah, making different, putting different walls up and
So
stuff.
cutting out conduit, I say your best, probably your hazard you're looking at the most would probably be eye protection. Wouldn't y'all think?
Yes.
Keeping metal away from your eyes,
Yeah, because most of the time you're cutting above you.
above your head, aren't you? How about you're doing it with like a sawzall, or
Yeah, most of the time I'm doing the saws off.
there's some importance in handling that correctly, isn't there? You know, as far as hand position and all that, to do that. Where do you hold your sawzall? Where do you, I mean, I'm not saying there's a right or wrong, I'm just asking, where do you hold your sawzall? You know, a lot of people like to put their finger right down there.
On the pipe.
Yeah.
But
That's why you hold the pipe out like this and try to cut it like that, bounce across your knee.
Yeah.
I always go up, I got the sawzall here and I actually hold the thing to put pressure on it. You cut it, then if it ever starts biting, then I grab a hold of the pipe, but I at least put my hand in at least a foot or two away.
Far enough away
Yeah.
where
So
it
if it ever catches, it won't.
catches, it won't hit your hand.
Yes.
Our company gives the Milwaukee one-handed sawzalls. I think they come in 18, and you get them down in the little 12-volt ones. They're great for like 3/4 or 1-inch stuff.
Or are they one-handed one? Well, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
And they're pretty handy, the battery operated ones, and so that way, you know, make sure you're wearing gloves and all, but you can grab the pipe and start cutting. And then they really like the band saws from Milwaukee. The little, I don't know if you've seen them, little quarter bands. They only got about 1.5 inch throat on it, but
Really?
when you're running 3/4 conduit or something along those lines, it's awesome because you ain't shaking
Yeah.
the whole pipe to pieces.
Really? Does it throw it on us about that much,
Yeah, I mean,
instead of,
instead of a 5-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch.
yeah.
Now, I think there's, a couple guys have the,
Those are Milwaukee's too?
yeah, these are, Milwaukee has,
You seen one?
Yeah, that's the newer ones they've got. They've made them smaller, they made the smaller throats. You got normal throats too,
Yeah.
on Milwaukee's, but they're a whole lot lighter than the D-Walls.
And safer, it sounds like.
a lot safer,
They are.
because you're not, and plus, if you're, especially if you're running stuff, you ain't shaking it out of the couplings, none of that.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
put it up there, you know, like, especially when you're turning a corner and all your pipe ends become different, and you just whack it all off right there instead of having the rest of it.
So there's some things to be said about using the right tools in on the job, isn't there? As far as efficiency, but also safety, isn't there? You know, so, and even using the right blade in the sawzall is important. Anybody ever stuck in a wood blade trying to cut a piece of pipe?
You ain't gonna do it.
It ain't gonna work too well, is it? And of course, you can do vice versa, it just, you can probably use a metal blade to cut wood, but it'd take you, 3 times as long.
And it'll burn the blade out.
And it'll burn the blade out.
Yeah, because I've actually done that at the house, like cutting trees.
Yeah, I cut it in the house thinking, I'll use this.
Yeah.
I've done that.
Quick,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Instead of going to Lowe's and getting me some more.
Yeah, so there's a right tool for everything. The little things that we just kind of take for granted to make sure we got the right stuff. So, and I think proper PPE as far as your eye protection on that is very important. Because like I say, most of the time you're cutting and those shavings are going somewhere. So, of course, wear gloves, I would hope, when you're cutting. That doesn't prevent it, but it sure does help. It's that extra layer. It might catch that, keep you from cutting off your finger, possibly. So, anything else you ever think of? We'll let Cameron get done here now. I just wanted to kind of talk about safety, so that kind of takes care of safety for the night, kind of what I'm talking about. We'll tell you what, we'll talk about safety on the specific. Be thinking about, we're going to start healthcare facilities tonight. About safety working at a healthcare facility. You think there's some issues there?
They'll probably be pushing to work everything hot, and
Maybe work everything hot? Are y'all allowed to work anything hot? No.
not unless we get
So
it,
there you go. Then what do? You
you gotta work something out.
work something out, right? And they'll tell you that it's impossible, but until you tell them, well, I can't work on this till it's off.
Well, we are allowed to, but first of all, we had, it has to get signed by the president of the company and the top safety man, like, the hot work permit, all that.
Yeah.
And then we gotta have all the PPE, and most of the time, when she's showing what it takes
To do
to
that.
work on things hot, they change their mind, and they'll figure out where they can stick this, this fella in another room, or whatever they gotta do.
I got you, yeah. So that is a healthcare facility, especially being an existing location. They don't want, and even when you're cutting something off, you gotta be careful enough to understand what you're cutting off, right? And the different levels of healthcare facility. In a nursing home, you got certain situations, right? In a hospital, you got, even the dentist office is a medical facility, but is there critical care there? No, there's not, so application is probably a little bit different. Nursing home, again, the application is probably a little different, because they're not, if it's on life support or something, they wouldn't be in the nursing home. It'd be somewhere else. And so I think we'll see that there are different levels of care. And saying that, there's a lot of backup things that we use and things like that, but we're gonna, matter of fact, I'm gonna see if I can, let me see if I can pull up something right quick while he's finishing a little video I can show us and find out where I can find it at. Let's this right quick while I'm waiting on him. Yeah, we'll look at this here in a second. We're gonna go ahead and get started, and I'll break that during my break. So, we are in Module 2, Healthcare Facilities, Section 1. We got some homework we're gonna go over in a minute. Before we do that, if I can get some sound, that's another thing, I need to get some sound. Let me see what I can do about sound here, so y'all bear with me just a minute, because we're in a new classroom here, and you know how all that is. So, let me see what I got. I'm not getting sound right now, so. Where you at? How do we get sound, guys?
Could it be up there?
Yeah, it might be, Cameron. But you think you'd be able to,
Is that red light on?
huh? Oh, is the light on? It is on, isn't it? So it should be working.
Yeah, it's not.
It may be. Let me keep, if I have to, I'll pause it in a second. Let me just keep digging here for a second. Anybody in here a computer guru?
Hours a day. Healthcare facilities include a wide range of outpatient services like wellness care, diagnostics, nursing homes, rehabilitation.
All right, so this is just to kind of let you know, just a little thing I found on YouTube, just healthcare facilities, gives an understanding. The overview is about 6 minutes long. So y'all pay attention to this, don't fall asleep. And because I know I'm a lot more interesting than these things are, so you know, it is what it is. So you know, I can't help. I have the personality, you know, keep y'all awake like Cameron. Okay, so but let's watch this, and then we'll kind of give this a little something different because we're introducing a new subject. Hey, I mean, it's worked in a healthcare facility. So just, James, you have it? No? So what did you do in a healthcare facility?
I wasn't there very long, but we were running they're redoing a floor, and so we were running new feeder pipe up there, so 3-inch. And
So renovation of the existing facility,
GHS, yeah.
but it wasn't in operation at the time? Or what?
Not that floor.
Not
but
that
we
floor.
were running, I think it was on 3rd floor, and we were down in first floor basement area running pipe across.
Okay.
So we had to be careful around, well, they had robots running all over the place.
Oh, did
We
they?
had to watch out for the robots and then people running this and that.
Hmm.
But it wasn't like a critical care
No.
part. It was just kind of a service like
Okay.
laundry and kitchen and that kind of thing.
I got you. Work during normal hours?
That one, yes.
Yeah, okay. And you?
I did New Horizon.
Did you? Okay. For the ground up?
Not from the ground up. I was there near the end of it. That's when
Okay.
I started working here.
Okay. All right. Where's New Horizon at?
Right there in front of the hospital, Greenville Hospital.
Oh, okay. So y'all were putting in, finishing up, trimming out, things like that?
Yeah.
But it wasn't open yet, right? So,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Nah, I did
Anything you
some-
remember about the facility, it was different than anything else you wired?
Like I said, that's when I first started.
Okay, so you didn't know a whole lot.
Mhm.
Okay. And you're a lot, you know, a whole lot more now.
Good little bit.
All right, well, let's watch this, see what's going on. We got good stuff.
When safety, reliability, and performance matter most, think Bryant. From the ICU to the data center, today's evolving healthcare environments
I
require
will
more than just a green
Point
dot.
out, see that green
They
dot?
demand durability, energy savings, convergence,
Might be something good to
bandwidth,
remember.
and safety with superior power and data devices from the company that understands healthcare. That's Bryant. Bryant knows healthcare. Today's hospitals and healthcare facilities feature a wide variety of spaces, each with their own unique needs. Staffed by professional healthcare providers, hospitals are comprehensive facilities that provide emergency care and patient treatment 24 hours a day. Healthcare facilities include a wide range of outpatient services like wellness care, diagnostics, nursing homes, rehabilitation, and physical therapy. Both hospitals and healthcare facilities serve a variety of patient, staff, visitors, and caregivers. Many coexist as part of a larger regional healthcare system, sharing critical medical information through sophisticated computer networking and data centers. Several breakthroughs in sophisticated medical technologies and digital initiatives are improving the quality of today's healthcare. Innovations like digital medical imaging, mobile monitoring devices, state-of-the-art robotic surgery, and electronic patient information are making it easier than ever for healthcare workers to quickly access and share critical information. New standards and regulations are driving the need for widespread electronic healthcare records to improve productivity. This places greater demand on healthcare computer networks and calls for convergence of power and low voltage systems like voice, data, AV, and multimedia applications. In addition to meeting strict codes and regulations, hospitals and healthcare facilities have a long building lifespan and are often expected to last for decades. Changes and upgrades in the healthcare environment can be complex, especially in hospitals that operate 24 hours a day. Today's healthcare industry is looking to maximize sustainability with solutions that improve efficiency and reduce the need for future modifications through durability, performance, and safety. Bryant understands the challenges of delivering both power and data in today's hospitals and healthcare environments and offers solutions for virtually every space and facility type. Hospital critical care environments like the ER, ICU, and operating rooms are demanding 24/7 environments that require 100% reliable power and data, as well as devices that hold up to abuse and corrosive disinfectants. Patient rooms and nurses stations require several connections for power, data, AV, and multimedia to support a variety of patient monitoring, call system alerts, and even entertainment applications. Bathrooms and common areas spread throughout hospitals require safe devices like ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, and tamper-resistant receptacles. Bathrooms are also ideal applications for occupancy sensors that turn lights on and off automatically, saving energy and potentially reducing the spread of germs. Hospitals include multiple operational areas like food service, laundry, maintenance, and outdoor spaces. These spaces have a variety of high-capacity power needs and require connections that withstand harsh environments while maintaining safety. Hospital data centers support all the applications needed to maintain daily communications and support the storage and transmission of electronic health records. Today's data centers require solutions that ensure reliable power and data connections for maintaining network uptime, which is extremely critical in hospitals and healthcare facilities. Today's healthcare facilities provide a variety of services to patients, like high-tech diagnostic digital imaging, which requires reliable power and high bandwidth data for sending images quickly and reliably. Examination rooms must be safe for patients of all kinds. Any area serving pediatric or psychiatric patients require tamper-resistant receptacles. Exam rooms are another area that is ideal for energy-saving occupancy sensors that turn lights off when vacant. Physical therapy facilities can include typical gym equipment or hydrotherapy areas that require watertight solutions for delivering power and data. Healthcare facilities also include medical laboratories that require an array of power, data, and AV configurations at specific locations. They also require durable connections that can withstand corrosive chemicals and washdowns. From billing and reception to auditoriums and conference rooms, healthcare facilities are businesses with many administrative areas that require the right mix of power, data, and AV connections. New technologies and applications like digital imaging, electronic record keeping, and digital prescription ordering systems are enhancing patient care and call for convergence across hospitals, healthcare facilities, and their data centers. When it comes to delivering power and data, today's healthcare industry demands durability, performance, sustainability, and safety. As one of the only providers of both power and data solutions, Bryant has the breadth of products to support convergence and the needs of today's healthcare industry across all environments, from the ICU to the data center. Bryant continues its 120-year commitment to excellence and unparalleled quality and dependability with its offering of products providing solutions to the healthcare industry. Bryant's full line of healthcare solutions are backed by superior product support that includes comprehensive specification and product selection assistance, online tools, resources, and application guides, highly knowledgeable specification professionals, and dedicated sales staff. Bryant's long-term commitment to supporting the healthcare industry. Ensure durability, energy savings, convergence, bandwidth, and safety in hospitals and healthcare facilities with solutions from Bryant. Think healthcare. Think Bryant.
All right. Get anything out of that? I'm gonna stop in a minute. Well, any comment?
Hi, my name is Paul Abernathy, and I'm the manager of Codes and Standards here at Encore Wire. On today's episode from the Desk of Codes and Standards, we're going to talk about a product that causes a bit of confusion in the industry, and I'd like to dispel some of the myths that are around the product. And that is a healthcare facility MC product, most notably our Smart Ground HCF MC cable. Now, many people believe that this product, and I happen to have some here, is required to be green. Or they even believe that the labels are required to be green and on the actual cable itself. Now, while we use a smart color ID system and do put labels on our products or MC cables, it's not required by any standard, no more than the requirement to put colored sheathing on non-metallic sheath cable. That's not a requirement in the National Electrical Code either, but people have come accustomed to saying it. The fact of the matter is, in order for this to be used in a healthcare facility, it has to meet some specific construction requirements, and that's what we want to talk about today. And again, kind of put to rest some of those myths that people have about the markings or what kind of labels have to be on here or whether it has to be green or whatnot. None of that's required by NFPA 99, which is the healthcare facility standard. Nothing in UL 1569 would require the green armor or the green labels or any labels at all. And there's nothing within the National Electrical Code that requires any labels at all. The labels that we place on our products are simply an optional identification method. It's not required. If you removed them,
I think that's good enough. Let's see. That's good for now. All right, so healthcare facilities. So they are different, right? We're on, let's see where we're at. Cameron, you passed. About a hair of your chin, but you passed, okay? All right. So we're on page 1 under module 2, type of healthcare facilities. As you can see here in section 1, our emphasis is going to be on the type of healthcare facilities. And so, you know, all of you been to a hospital, inpatient, outpatient. You know what inpatient is, you know what outpatient is. And we're going to look at the different ones. You know, ambulatory healthcare facility. We're going to look at different categories. There are 4 different categories. We're going to take a look at those. Essential electrical systems, what is that? EES, essential electrical systems. There's actually 3 categories under that, and we'll get into that, like equipment branch, critical branch, life date safety branch, so we'll talk about that. We're going to look in our code book and see where it's applicable. 517 is where we're going to find a lot of our information. We'll look at the type 1 EES, type 2 EES, and what the differences are, what's required in those. Other healthcare facilities we'll be looking at alternative power source, which we'll be looking at getting into that, and actually to get into that in the module 3 is standby and backup generators and stuff. There's something in here called a double-ended system. We'll look at that. I'm not too particular thing that you need to know too much about that, but that's just something that's a higher KVA, over 750. We don't get into too much, but we'll at least discuss it for a little bit. And that'll actually get us through section 1 tonight. So our goal is to get through section 1 and to take a look at that. And so doing that, so with your homework, everybody's got their homework, right? Let me find mine. So section 1, module 1. Let's find that. Let's get, I don't have that up here. I thought I had put it on my thing, but I didn't. So we're gonna have to go over this together. So, section 1, module 1. Number 1, I'm gonna have y'all read them, and hopefully you can tell me the answer. If you don't have the answer, just, then we'll find it together. Okay. All right. So we'll start with you, James. Number 1.
The installation of electrical systems in healthcare facilities is governed by NEC Article 517.
Yeah, and that's what I told you we was gonna take a look at, 517. And we're gonna take a look at that code here when we get on into our lesson tonight. So Article 517 is where you're gonna find your rules about healthcare facilities. Okay, it's important to know that. All right, number 2, Cameron.
I don't have that.
Okay, anybody have number 2?
A patient care space
Patient care space?
is defined as any portion of a healthcare facility where patients undergo examinations or treatment.
Okay, patient care space. Okay, everybody agree with that? Yes, no? I agree. Okay. All right, patient care space. How about number 3?
In a healthcare facility, power is divided into 2 categories, the non-essential load and the essential electrical system.
Yeah. Non-essential load and essential electrical systems. Non-essential, essential. What's the difference between the two? Just thinking out loud. What's the difference?
You need one, well,
In a healthcare facility, what's going to be essential?
stuff that saves people's lives, essentially.
Somebody on a respirator, right? Somebody that, it needs something to help them live. Wouldn't you consider that essential? Okay. Non-essential would probably be, outlets in the waiting room or whatever, in the offices. That's non-essential, isn't it? Okay. So non-essential loads, essential loads, we're going to be talking about that. Essential loads, you think they're going to need some kind of backup power?
Yes.
Yeah, obviously they are. Can't have them cutting off, can we? So that's going to be the big difference, and we're going to see that on page 2 as we look at that just a little bit closer. Okay. All right, number 4.
3 branches of EES alternate source are equipment, life safety, and critical.
Okay. All right. Equipment, critical, and life safety. Okay. And we'll be looking at that again. That's kind of like you see there on page 3. You see your EES, and then under that we have 3 different branches. And now notice that equipment branch is what? It's kind of in yellow, isn't it? So yellow just means what? Be going through a red light. Slow down, it's not critical. But notice the other 2 are what? They're in red. So you think the red are more important? Those 2 areas? Sure they are. Critical branch, that word tells me that it's pretty important. And then life safety, that word definitely tells me, that they're important. So they're more in the red, and we'll be discussing, what the limitations are on that, okay? All right, number 5, James.
The alternate power source can be either utility or other generators.
Okay. Anybody got that? I'm looking for that myself right now. Is that right? Anybody else got that? I'm looking for it.
That's what I got.
That's what you got? Okay. I'm looking for, oh yeah, right here. Yeah, on page 3. Alternate power source can be the utility or other generators. And of course, that's their two sources of power, isn't it? Okay. And generator is considered another source of power. It's not part of that source of power versus utility. You know, it's completely separate systems. Okay, completely separate systems. When one's off, the other one's got to work, and vice versa. Okay. All right, number 6.
As specified in NEC 517.14, where branch circuit panel boards for normal and essential power serve the same patient care vicinity, they must be connected together with an insulated copper conductor no smaller than a 10 wire gauge.
Number 10,
Number
AWG. Okay. And we'll talk about why that's important, about why they're connected together here as we get into our book. All right, number 7, Cameron.
NEC section 215.10 and 230.95 describe the requirement for ground fault protection at the feeder.
Okay, all right. Everybody agree with that? And where would we find that at? I'm looking for it right quick, number 7. Oh, okay, page 8, where we found that. Additional ground fault protection may be required. Okay. All right. Number 8.
In facilities that do not require type 1 or
Yeah.
type 2 EES emergency power may be provided by batteries in accordance with 700.12.
700.12. Okay. And we'll take a look at that. That's on page 6 is where we found that under other healthcare facilities. Okay. All right. Number 9.
In instances in which disruption of power would result in elevator stopping between floors, a throwover switches must be provided to allow temporary operation of any elevator for the release of passengers.
Yeah. And actually what happens a lot of times today, I just wired an elevator, there's actually a delay can be put on, has to be put on that signal for the fire alarm to actually shut it off, because that's what's shutting it off. But you can do like a 30-second delay, and you actually put it on there to where, if it's on the second floor, it's got to get to the first floor kind of thing. But otherwise, if it's not, then yeah, a throw over switch would be the thing to do. Because what we got to do, we don't want to get stuck on the elevator. So, so that's the purpose for that. Or transfer switch. And it may be a manual, We usually think of transfer switches as being automatic, something that automatically happens. That's not necessarily always the case. There are manual transfer switches where you physically have to throw the switch. Okay, that's on page 6 is where we found that. We're on, number 10 now? Anybody got that? Blank blank are those that are not necessary. Anybody got that?
Non-essential loads.
Non-essential loads, very good. Non-essential loads. And that's found on page 2. Okay. Non-essentials not quite as important, are they? All right, number 11.
A double-ended substance is typically used when transformation over 750 kVA is needed.
Yeah, double-ended. And that's what I was telling you earlier. We'll look at that. I'm not too interested in y'all knowing a whole lot about that because I think it'd be rare that we'd get into that case. But I will. Double-ended, what you really got, you got 2 alternate sources of power. That's all you're really saying. If one doesn't work, it goes beyond one generator. It's saying now we're going to have 2. A backup to the backup. That's what we're having. All right. Number 12.
The central electrical system, ES, consists of systems or devices that are needed for the safety of all occupants, such as a fire alarm, exit lighting, hallway lights for patient care.
Okay. All right. And what were your 2 answers again now?
For safety of all occupants.
Okay. Safety for all occupants. Okay. All right. Everybody got that? And we have different systems, don't we? Fire alarm, exit, hallway lighting, you know, so those are needed. Number 13,
Limited care facilities and nursing homes that furnish inpatient critical care must comply with requirements of NEC section 517.25 and 517.30.
yeah. And that is like a type 2 facility, is what that actually is. Okay, so limited care facilities, and that's a type 2 facility, which is not as critical as a type 1. Okay. Number 14,
Type 1, ESS require any facility with critical care unit that admit patient requiring electrical life support equipment.
yep, type 1. And the key there, electrical life support equipment. Number 15,
Sometimes communication systems are used to call a code blue system.
code blue system. That's not Kmart blue light special. Okay, all right, y'all probably not too young to remember that. I know you are. Kmart, you used to go in, they had if you stood in a Kmart and they were running a special, they had this blue light on a cart, and you'd go around the Kmart, and when a lot of people would follow it, and so when they announced where the blue light special was at, people would go and it'd say, okay, tonight football, whatever, you know, they put it right there at it, and you know, they're 50% off or 75% off or whatever, but there was a limited amount, and so everybody would, you know, some people would follow the blue lights around or whatever the case might be, or they would announce it and everybody would go running over there, but that's not a code blue. I mean, you ever heard of code blue in the hospital? I heard one the other day, and I was at my dad's in the hospital. I heard actually twice a code blue happened, because I was in a heart care department, and it happened actually twice while I was sitting there in about an hour period. So there's buttons that they can press, and code blue, I mean, that's pretty, you know, when you think of the description there, when we read that there on page 5, which we will, we see that it's pretty important. Number 16.
The life safety brand must be installed and connected to the alternate power source so that designated functions are automatically restored to operation within 10 seconds startup after the normal source interruption.
Yeah, that should have been within, yeah. Within 10 seconds after the normal source interruption. 10 seconds. Number 17. Anybody? Type 1, or that should be 2 at the top of it. Type 1 or 2, 1 or more diesel engine generators, and that should be normally. Boy, I didn't check my spelling there, did I, on that one? Diesel engine generators. Found on page 7. Number 18. Yeah, I got that. Lord have it. Well, let's see if we can find it together. Let's look back on page 1. Second column. About ambulatory healthcare occupancy. And is that what that occupancy used to provide services of treatment simultaneously for more patients it provides on an outpatient basis? Would that be what that would be? Yeah. Ambulatory healthcare occupancy is number 18. Number 19. Anybody got that one?
Hospital is a building or portion thereof used of 24-hour basic for the medical
Sure.
Satchel.
Okay, I got you. That's all right. Close enough. It is hospital, that's the main thing. Okay. All right, many blank or limited care facilities require type 2 EES.
Nursing.
Nursing homes. Okay. nursing homes. Okay. That kind of gets us familiar with the chapter. Again, just, and even just looking, as we see a healthcare facility, as we look here, and this is in your book, but as we kind of look at this, I kind of thought we'd be a little different tonight and use this. We'll try to use this more. I kind of forget about it sometimes. But in a healthcare facility, what do we see a lot of? What do we see a lot of?
Outlets and
What are these? Yeah.
outlets.
Was there a lot of power, a lot of, I mean, look at all this on the wall, and a lot of times it's actually, and it's not even much. Okay, we may have power towers, where they plug in, and then because if you're going to see here in our book, there's a lot of outlets required, more so today than ever in a patient care facility, because there are just so many things that can be plugged in, and of course in doing so, probably the main concern that you have in a healthcare facility, if you're wired one, is you don't the electrical part to do what to the person? To shock him. All right? So how do you prevent that? How do you prevent the patient from being shocked? Ground. Okay? And so we have how many grounds on there? Yeah. 2, right? And so therefore we're ensuring, and if we run MC cable, guess what? It's a special type of cable, isn't it? There's an insulated and a non-insulated, and you're making sure that you're grounding the electrical. Not only are you grounding the outlet, but you're also grounding what? The conduit system. Okay. Reassurance that what? If they touch, I mean, you don't want. I mean, have you ever had a faulty ground, like maybe at a pool or something, and touched the metal? What? Can you imagine doing that in a hospital with a person who's got a heart problem? What do you think would happen?
Lawsuits.
Yeah, probably a lawsuit. So the rules are stringent, and they should be. I mean, the last thing you want to happen is somebody that you love to go in the hospital and die because of somebody didn't wire it right. Right. So they should be. So healthcare facilities. Okay. And really all we're trying to do tonight is a type of healthcare. That's kind of what we're concentrating on. And if we're going to kind of look together, so let's look on page 1. Okay. Healthcare facilities. Okay. Inpatient, somebody's admitted to the hospital overnight. Of course, hospitals are trying to get away with that. They're trying to get away from that now. I mean, a lot of your stuff, even what you think of as a major surgery, is what? It's treated as outpatient. And an outpatient means what? You're doing what?
You're leaving within so many hours.
Yeah, you're not staying overnight, are you? You don't have an overnight stay. And if you see there in our book, a patient who received service at the hospital is not admitted for an overnight stay.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah.
I had a 6-hour surgery on my
6-hour surgery.
and I was out of the hospital within 8 hours.
Outpatient. What do you think the purpose of that?
Cost.
Cost.
I heard though one way they can get you though is they'll stick you into observation. Now, you can
Observation.
be in there for more than 24 hours.
Yes, you can.
But you're not admitted in the hospital,
In the hospital.
even though you may have like nurses coming by every 4
Exactly.
hours and stuff. So that's
Yeah,
another.
there is a loophole there. You're exactly right.
But
Yeah, that's happened to my dad a couple times in the last month. They actually put in observation. And a lot of times you're in observation because they ain't got a room.
yeah,
Hospitals are full, which is the common thing. But looking on page 1, we just kind of see section 1, we're going to be talking about the different types. And the first thing, I'm not going to read all this. I mean, I've given you some stuff. I think it's, done for me to read all this, but, some of the things that I see on page 1 that I really feel like that we need to know, there are other rules, what we're going to concentrate on is NEC, and NEC 517. But if you can see there on page 1, there are other places where we find rules. NFPA 70, of course the National Electrical Code, NFPA 99, the Joint Commission. And so if you're probably going to have more than one inspection. You may have some type of state health, you may have a state health inspection. I mean, there's just a lot of things that may happen other than just your local jurisdiction, your local inspector. So be looking for that. As a matter of fact, if you look on down there, I thought it was interesting, one of the things, even things like fireproofing becomes important in a healthcare facility, doesn't it? Because what do we not want to happen?
It is spread.
Yeah, I mean, if a hot fire, we want fireproofing in the hallways, in the corridor, is it important for the electrical room to be fireproofed? Yeah, more so important than in an office, wouldn't y'all say? And so we see there on our book, that's what it says. It says fireproofing all floor or wall penetration because patients cannot be evacuated, and that's the reason. You think about it. Can someone in a school evacuate quickly? Yeah. Can someone in a hospital bed be evacuated quickly? No. Not near as fast as that kid in the school. Because you got to do what? He may be on life safety. And so you got to, and plus, it's multi-floor. Most hospitals are multi-floor. The task of getting them out of the bed, into something, or their bed, out. So, becomes, fire becomes, egress becomes hard, doesn't it, in a hospital? So fireproofing helps prevent the spread of that fire and allow the time to get people out. And so I say that to say this, I think sometimes we loosely install fireproofing as electricians. Don't tell me you don't, because I know we do. I've been there and I've done that. So we loosely do that, but as far as, because we think, well, if the inspector done on it, if I make that hole there a little bigger, it ain't no big deal. But again, and I know we're not always working, and in our company, I mean, I'll be honest with you, we don't do healthcare facilities. We don't. But I know at Carolina Power, there's actually there's kind of like a group.
I think one of the corporate goals is to get into healthcare more.
In healthcare more, yeah, because y'all got a guy over there, I think it's just kind of like healthcare coordinator, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Matt Johnson
Matt.
does a lot of the work down there at GHS. They have a trailer parked out there. So.
Really? Yeah. And so, so that, even, and we think of things loosely like fireproofing, and of course it's important in every job, don't get me wrong. But in a healthcare facility, it becomes more of an issue because of evacuation. So, and just kind of looking down there, the Joint Commission inspects healthcare facilities, and it says they have to have an on-site inspection every 3 years. I didn't know that. I don't know who the Joint Commission is, okay? But obviously there's somebody that's associated with that with healthcare facilities that every 3 years they're coming out and inspecting this thing. I don't know what they inspect. Well, as a matter of fact, always check the most recent, and it didn't say there, it didn't say what they do. But as we can see there in the book, and we'll take a look at this tonight, or into our, we may not look at it tonight, but the biggest thing I want you to see that there is an article 517 in your code book that covers healthcare facilities. Okay, and we've already seen what the definition of healthcare facilities is based on our homework, so it's given there. Is a dentist office a healthcare facility? Yeah. Have you ever been put to sleep in a dentist office? Yeah, I have. Okay. That's healthcare. There's issues there. There's things we have to. Are you hooked up to equipment in a dentist chair? Is there potential? If you getting worked on, potential you touch something, right? I mean, you ain't got to grab it with your hand for it to touch you. If it's in your mouth, guess what? It's touching you. How many would want to get shocked by, something in a dental chair? My dental chair has a vibrator on it. I don't want to get. I want that thing to be. Y'all got my dental chair got a thing when you lay down. It's got a vibrating thing on it, but not a vibrator, but like rollers that like roll you back. I guess it is vibrator, whatever you want to call it.
Man, who's your dentist?
I'm serious. It's like, and it's uncomfortable. I actually asked them to cut it off. It hurts my back because you're already laying there, and a lot of people like it, but I just don't. It's like rollers that roll up and down your back, up and down your spine while you're sitting there. And so, of course, they have a TV and all that, but the the massaging, we'll call it, the massaging chair is something new to my dentist office. No, I don't go to a high dollar dentist office, you know, so I don't know why they got it, so I go to the same place. I was on Roper Mountain Road if y'all wanna go, I'm not advertising, but, the dentist office on Hoskins Dentistry. But they give a massaging chair and it feels good. I mean, it does feel good for a little while, but after a while, especially if you get some extensive work on, it's like, okay, cut the chair off, I've had enough. So,
That's one
but,
thing.
Uh,
That's one thing I miss about the airport.
uh,
You know, like, they got them new massaging chairs up there.
massaging chairs out there.
And you can pay $1 for like 3 minutes, but you don't want nothing more than 3 minutes, because like you said, after that, it starts hurting.
Yeah, you don't want no more than about 3 minutes, that's for
Sure,
sure.
you got the ones with the leg, for the legs, you put your calves into.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And they roll up and down. That
Really?
helps.
Okay. The other thing, ambulatory healthcare facility, we see there on page 1, what, 4 or more patients. I think that's the key thing, provides an outpatient, and outpatient is concerned, you can see there, outpatient, we've already seen what that word is. On 1 or more of the following, and then see what that takes into account there by those bullet points on page 1. So, that's kind of page 1. Page 2, as we're moving on, again, we look here on our book, the different types. So we have ambulatory healthcare occupancy. That's what we just discussed there on page 1. Hospital. Okay. Hospital's going to incorporate what? Any type of service, right? Wouldn't y'all say, from, you know, whatever it happens to be, emergency room service to, you know, heart care, or, you know, whatever, you know, whatever it is, a hospital. I mean, we kind of think of that as like a level 1, don't we? Limited care, what do you think as far as we see here, limited care is on page 2, and you see the definition of it there. It's what? Somebody read limited care facility there on page 2.
A building or portion thereof use on a 24-hour basis for your housing of 4 or more persons who are incapable of self-preservation because of a physical limitation due to accident or illness, or limitations on mental retardation, development, disability, mental illness, or chemical dependency.
Okay, all right. So limited care. What's the difference between a limited care and, go back and read the hospital. Somebody read hospital.
A building or portion thereof used on a 24-hour basis for the medical, psychiatric,
That's okay.
obstetrical, or surgical care of 4 or more patients.
Yeah. So what's the difference between hospital and limited care then? Understand?
One's used for housing,
Yeah.
and the others.
Kind of really hard to tell the difference, a whole lot of difference, isn't there? I think there's more specific things in the hospital. Limited care, I don't think you get into like this, you know, limited. When I think of limited care, I'm thinking more general, you know? Whereas a hospital, you're getting into the detail of anything that could be wrong. I don't think limited could probably care for some of the things that a hospital could.
Is that like an urgent care type place?
I would think so, maybe something to that. But it does say 24-hour though, doesn't it? So, I'm not sure what, you know, I don't know, you know. But it's listed, and then a nursing home is what? Somebody read that one.
A building or portion of a building used on a 24-hour basis for the housing and nursing care of 4 or more persons who, because of a mental or physical incapacity, might be unable to provide for their own needs and safety without the assistance of another person.
Okay. So what are we really doing in a nursing home? We're just doing what? One word. We're housing them, right? We're not, are we doing I think what ends up happening here, we got highest grade of care, you know, immediate care, okay? Extenuating circumstances. Somebody comes in an ambulance, guess what? It's code blue, right? I mean, they ain't coming in, they ain't riding in just to ride in, okay? Hospital, you get a little bit, you know, it is, doesn't, and everything, but you don't have the emergency issues. I mean, you do, but it's a different portion of the hospital. You'll get what I'm saying? It's even usually a different section. Limited care, I think, is one step below that, you know. It has 24-hour, it is housing, it is caring for them, but it's not getting into the detail of the things, surgery, you know, whatever that happens to be. And in a nursing home, we're really just doing what? Yeah, they're there because they're sick, but we're only really, if something happens to them, what are we going to do? We're taking one of those, right? If something happens here, what are we going to do? We're going to take them there. If something happens here, what are we going to do? We're going to take them there. And so that's just the 4 groups as we read them. But we can see here, all these 4 groups are governed by what? And the main thing is in the green here that we're concerned with. Yeah, Article 517. Okay.
What about like doctor's offices and dentists? Where do they fit in?
I would think they would probably be like a, to me, probably a limited care facility.
Just without the 24
Yeah.
hour thing? Okay.
Yeah, that's just my thinking now. But now, here's the thing, in a doctor's office, here's the thing, and maybe it covers it in a minute, I can't remember the name.
Oh.
It might be, but here's the thing about it, anything as far as facility, healthcare facility, the biggest issue is, in a doctor's office or dentist's office, whatever it happens to be, to make sure that in any exam room, special requirements. Like in a doctor's office, the only place that you gotta have the double grounded MC cable is in the exam rooms, where you could be hooked to it. I'm doing an eye clinic, okay? It's got 25 exam rooms. Yeah, those 25 exam rooms, guess what? They have to be what?
Double grounded.
Yeah.
And do they have to have their own circuit? I've heard that sometimes, like.
They could not share that circuit with a common. They don't have to have their own circuit. It's just those circuits have to be used for those exam rooms.
Only for them.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing that probably a lot of people don't know, actually the code, and what kind of it's kind of an interpretation thing. Do you think the lights, the code says something, I think the light has to be like over, if it's under 7.5 feet tall, then this is what? 9 foot? Give or take? Okay. Do you think these lights would have to be on the green insulated MC cable?
I wouldn't think so, but
How about the switch that controls them? Is it under 7.5 foot?
yeah.
So therefore, then what?
At least the switch has to be.
If the switch is, then guess what?
They're going to be too.
Then the light's got to be too, right? Okay. But there's kind of an interpretation thing in there in the code. It says if the switch is accessible to the patient. So, I guess it's probably one of those things you ask the local inspector, because would he consider it in the room as being accessible? Or would he say, if you're laying in this exam chair, if it being at the door, is that considered unaccessible? I think that would be a code interpretation. But more than likely, they're going to tell you to put that switch, they're going to tell you to put everything in that room on it because of that switch. That's what I run into. So yeah, so, you know, that happens. So as NEC 517, we're going to see do that. I mean, even though we just saw earlier, I've always interpreted, hey, that's the green insulated MC cable, because that's just how you buy it. But by code, it doesn't have to be green insulated MC cable. It's just got to have what? The redundant ground. It's got to have 2 grounds in it. Okay. So. All right. We look here on page 2. Matter of fact, we'll look this and we'll take a 5-minute break. And so we got different categories. Within a healthcare, there are various definitions for patient care spaces. So within each facility, we may have different areas. Okay. So this is not just a, and notice this is not, say this is a facility, this is not a critical care facility, this is a critical care space within the facility. You get what I'm saying? So you could have more than one category in a building. You know, it may be a critical care space. Where do you think a critical care space would be?
Operating room.
Operating room? Yeah. I mean, again, like that Jervy, the I group place that I'm doing, you know, there's operating rooms, right? You think that's gonna be critical care? Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know this till the other day, and I think this is kind of interesting. Anybody ever had an MRI? Okay. What does MRI stand for? Any idea? Google it and see. Somebody Google it. Tell me what MRI stands for. So this is kind of interesting for y'all to know. This is I think this is important for an electrician to know, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. In case you ever go get an MRI, you better answer this question truthfully. And I'll tell you why in a minute.
Magnetic resonance imaging?
What's the first word?
Magnetic.
Magnetic. So what's going to happen when you go into that MRI? It's what? It's one big what?
Magnet.
It's one big magnet. One of the questions they're going to ask you on your questionnaire, if you go get an MRI, and I'm going to tell you as an electrician, it's happened to me more than once. Have you ever got a piece of metal in your eye before? Drilling? You ever got any? You have? Hurts, doesn't it?
Very bad.
Okay. Do you realize you might have not got all that metal out? Potentially. And so guess what? You go get an MRI and there's just a speck somewhere in your eye of that metal. Guess what it's going to do?
Pull it out.
It's going to pull it out. And guess what's going to happen? James going to be hurt. If you ever, as an electrician, I'm telling y'all on the camera too, as an electrician, if you ever go get an MRI, and it's going to be on your question, if you ever had metal in your eye, if you ever had metal in your eye, say yes. Because what they're going to do is they're going to x-ray your eyes and make sure there's none left. Because the particle still could be in your eye and it never bother you and you not know it. I'm talking about, you know, small enough where you just never recognize it. Particularly if it's, you know, so anyway, so MRI, so anyway, so critical care space, category 1, and we know, you know, we look here, category 1, critical space, what does it define it as? Somebody read that.
Space in which failure of equipment or system is likely to cause major injury or death of patient, staff, or visitors.
Yeah. Major injury or death. Critical care. Major injury or death. All right. So we're going to go down a little. How about general care there?
Space in which failure of equipment or system is likely to cause minor injury to patients, staff, or visitors.
Okay. Minor injury. A little bit different than category 1, isn't it? Just minor injury could occur. Something happens. How about basic care? Cameron?
Space in which failure of equipment or system is not likely to cause injury to the patient, staff, or visitor, but can cause patient discomfort.
Discomfort. You know, no injury, so we're going down. And then the support space is category 4.
Space in which failure of equipment or system is not likely to have physical impact on patient care.
Yeah, so no impact at all. If your water pick quits working at the dental office, is it likely to cause an injury? Or their, whatever they do when they, you know, when they, not floss them, when they put the fluoride on, that's likely to cause, it probably would be what? You know, some support. But if you're on something keeping your heart beating, is that critical? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't want it to go down. How about if we were just on it wasn't critical, maybe you just kind of need a little help breathing, you know, with breathing. It could be more of a general care kind of thing, couldn't it? Yeah. And then basic, you know, so we got 4 different categories. We'll kind of take a look at those. Let's take about a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and pick up there.
Then next time you do it.
All right. So, essential electrical system types. Okay. Essential, non-essential. Kind of essential electrical systems, non-essential electrical loads. Okay. All right. Red meaning more important than anything. So we got essential and non-essential, right? We kind of talked about what the two differences were. So we can see here what's actually happening is the non-essential loads, we have actually two sources of power, don't we? Normal power, what is an alternate source of power?
Generator.
Generator. Do non-essential loads need to be on the generator? No. So they're not shown on the generator. How about the EES, the essential electrical systems? Do they need to be on both? You need to have a way of them working regardless. Yeah. And so because of that, we see here power is divided into two categories, non-essential and essential. I need me a little red thing. An essential electrical system, the EES, and then we're going to look here in a second, I think we are, is divided into three. So let's take a look at their next little slide here. Yeah. And so we have normal, which is just non-essential loads, normal power, non-essential loads. But inside of this category here, as we can see here on page 3, and you got it here in your book. Okay. Page 3, there's actually 3 types of essential equipment branch. Again, not quite as it's essential. It is essential, but not as essential. Critical branch, and so let's see if we can find these in our book. In the 3-branch service we see here. Matter of fact, on page 2, if you look at the paragraph, it says the EES is divided into equipment branch, life safety, and critical. Equipment branch consists of those items that are needed to operate the facility but are not directly related to patient care. So such as what? Telephone system, things like that. I mean, it's not dependent upon the patient to live for the telephone to work, right? Okay. Okay. The life safety and critical branch consists of those items that are essential to the patient care. The life safety branch requires those items to ensure the safety of the buildings, exit signs, stairway lighting, alarm system, communication system. Okay. The critical branch supplies areas that are directly related to the patient. These include pharmacies, emergency rooms, intensive care units, and so on. And so we see that. So that's the 3 categories. Critical branch, and we see what that is there in the paragraph, life safety branch and equipment branch. So those are those 3. Everybody got that? Understand that? Okay. All right, so on page 4 and 5, or 4 and 5, we have 2 types, levels of EES. Okay. Let's see what's next one there for it. Yeah. 2 types of level. And if you look there on page 4, we see type 1 EES on page 4. They're the most stringent. You supply critical care, life support. So level type 1 is actually carrying what? If we go back then, type 1 is actually carrying what? The 2 what?
Red.
The 2 red. Makes sense? We go back, we'll look at that. Critical care and life support, and must automatically restore power within what? 10 seconds. For somebody that's that seems awful long to me. 10 seconds. But I guess that would be the stream. I would hope that the generator would turn on quicker than this. Yes.
What about like UPSs and stuff? Like what if you're operating on somebody, do they?
Yeah, so you have an alternate source of power, which is the UPS, an uninterrupted power supply. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But I would say that would be, and again, and until we see something different, Nate, I think this is like minimum standards.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry.
You get what I'm saying? And so, yeah, in the surgery, we're going to have a UPS unit. But I think that's more specific where we get, this is just minimum standard type of things. So, but yeah, absolutely, that's what you would have, the UPS unit. Because you don't want any power to even blink, right? We don't want the lights to go out and the doctor be standing there, 10, 9, 8, hold on a minute, we'll go back to operate here in 5 seconds, so you're right, okay. We would run into that. Type 2, let's take a look at type 1 in our book. Type 1 Matter of fact, it gives us some bullet points there, and some things that we may not consider type 1. The book does, and so does the NEC. NEC 51733, and you can take a look at that. Look at some of the things that it requires. Illuminations, egress, so lighting in the different areas to be able to get in and out of the building, exit signs and exit directional signs, fire alarm systems, alarm and alerting systems other than fire alarm, hospital communication systems, task illumination, elevator cab lighting, we want the elevator to work, automatically operated doors used for building egress. We don't want the doors not to open right when we get there. And so those are some of the things that we see there. We also go down, we look, there's a critical branch of the type 1 EES may consist of one or more branches that are designed to serve a limited number of receptacles in location to reduce the load demand. In other words, it gets specific as far as the circuitry is concerned. We was talking about that earlier. As a matter of fact, if you look there, let's take your code book just for a second. Let's see what 517.18a actually says. 517.18a. Of course, 517 is healthcare facilities. We know that by now. And 517.18a actually talks about beds, doesn't it? So it says patient bed location. Each patient bed shall be supplied with how many branch circuits? Two branch circuits. One from what? Mine's actually highlighted. From what? Critical what?
Emergency system.
Critical branch, isn't it? That's exactly what we're studying here. Critical branch, which means it's going to have to come from what? It's going to have an alternate source of backup power, isn't it? So one of those has to be critical. One must be critical branch, and then one can be what? Normal. Okay. All branches, but let's read on. All branches from the normal system shall originate in the same panel board. Why do you think they want to do that?
Keep them close by.
Close by, and what else? Common neutrals. I mean, there's just a lot. I mean, we don't want. I don't think we'd want in that room. We'd want power from different panel sources, would we? Okay. And if you read here, there's even a little bit different. Branch. Look at the next paragraph. Branch circuits serving patient bed locations shall not be a part of a multi-wire branch circuit. In other words, it needs to have what? I read that as it needs to have its own neutral. Because to me, a multi-wire branch circuit means that, because you can put 3 wires on one neutral, right? But to me, I think in reading that, we do what? For each branch circuit, we want its own neutral.
Dedicated.
Yeah, dedicated. Okay. And there are some exceptions. We won't get into that, but there are 3 exceptions there, okay, that require something different. But that's what they're referring to when we see that in their book there on page 4. Okay. NEC. Let's look at 517.34 while we're here, because that's in the very next sentence that tells us there. 517.34. Equipment branch connection to alternate power source. And if you look there, if you go on down, you kind of read it on down, the equipment branch shall be installed and connected to the alternate power source such that the equipment described in 5.7.13, in other words, the equipment described below, is automatically restored. Automatically. It means it's got to have what? Automatic transfer. Can't be manual, can it? Do operation at an appropriate time lag intervals following the energizing of the what? There's those words that we're studying, isn't it? Essential electrical system. Essential meaning what?
Alternate source.
Yeah, there must be an alternate source, right? Okay, so we kind of making sense, isn't it? So, and that's what they're talking about there. And if we look there, we see there's some bullet points there, and I'm not gonna read them all, but you can read those, 8 or 9 bullet points there that gets into detail about what those are. Okay? Y'all see those there? All right, so type 2, on page 4, type 2 is what? Nursing home, limited care facilities, require type 2 EES, okay? Those facilities, if you read, I'm just reading there the first paragraph, these facilities do not have what? Critical care, intensive care units, but they do provide patient care that is equivalent to hospital inpatient care. So in other words, they're staying overnight or 24 hours. That's inpatient, isn't it? Therefore, the branches of the emergency system are actually similar to type 1 because they are overnight. They could be, on something that's critical and it needs backup power possibly. So if we read on down through here, we see that even though it's type 2, it's a little less stringent, okay? A lower level of care as in a nursing home, but yet it's still important, isn't it? Okay? If there are some essential electrical systems inside of this facility. If we see that on page 5, in fact, the top of it, the first paragraph says, essential electrical systems for limited care facilities and nursing homes must have 2 separate branch circuits, just like the other. These 2 branch circuits are the life safety branch and equipment branch. The number of transfer switches is based on reliability, so on and so forth. Okay? So, matter of fact, if you look here, some of the things it's referring us to is 517.42. And if you look at 517.42 in your code book, it's actually just talking about automatic connection to a life safety branch. In other words, some type of automatic device that's going to switch over, transfer power in case we lose normal power. So again, type 2 is not as stringent as type 1, but yet there's still important areas to consider within that. Okay? Because we want grandma to stay alive, right? Okay? She's not there just to lay in the bed. There's other things that are done inside of it. Okay? Again, if you look there in the third paragraph, the life safety branch must be installed and connected to the alternate so that, again, there's not more than a 10-second delay. Okay. And we see there with their bullet points, or I think there's 7 bullet points there, what those areas are reflected there in type 1. Okay. Our code blue button there is on page 5. We talked about that earlier. Wall-mounted, some type of alarm device. Okay. All right. Page 6 and 7. We're still talking about, I think we had talked about a thrower device or a transfer device. That's 517.44 and 45 sources of power as far as in our code book. Okay. We can take a look at that. I think we've read those good enough. Under 1.2.0 electrical distribution systems, there are some. We see here under that blanket there, the first one is a double-ended system. And again, we talked about double-ended transformation of power over what? How much? 750, right? Okay. And here is a double-ended, we see here what happens here. We see that there's what? There's 2 mains, utility medium voltage or low voltage supply. There's 2 in there, double-ended. If we're just reading here, the bullet power to a healthcare facility is used to supply by 1 or more distribution point. Each feeder could carry the full load of the system. That's important. We couldn't put a 2,000 amp and a 1,000 amp. If it's 2,000 amp, they both got to be capable of carrying that whole load, the entire load. And it's just a redundant, and it's a backup to a backup because of, because of the load. A double-ended substation, I'm just reading here, double-ended substation is used when a system over 750 kV. A tie circuit breaker reroutes power upon loss of one of the feeders. Okay. So we got 2 feeders coming in and making sure that if something happens to utility on one, a feeder coming in on one, that the other one, it automatically kicks over and uses the other feeder. Okay. Double-ended system. what we got there. As you can see there, you know, you got two normally closed and normally open. They're in the middle, and it's just gonna swap one or the other, and, you know, close or open based on the source that we're actually using. I don't think we'd run into that too much, but it is discussed in the book, and I wanted to make you see that. 1.2.2 is alternate power source. The alternate power source, we get into backup generators. Module 3, we really gonna get into backup generators and transfer switches and their uses. So, but we do know, I mean, the hospital's gonna have one in there. Healthcare facility's gonna have a backup generator. 1.2.3 is actually talking about ground fault. Let's see what we got here on our next thing. Yeah. Well, I was just talking about alternate diesel generator. Anybody ever installed a generator? Yeah, you got what? You got two sorts. You usually got diesel or what? Propane or natural gas. Okay. Generators housed outdoors or in an unheated environment must have a battery heater in the car. In other words, when you get when you pull that, when you feed that, one of the things I'll tell you here, and I think was pointing this out as far as installation of a generator, some of us miss it sometimes. How many conduits you gonna pull? You gonna run out there to that generator?
Depends on where the transfer switch is. Is that what
Okay.
you're saying?
Well, let's just say it's a normal installation, transfer switches in the building. How many conduits you think you're gonna run out there to that generator?
6, 4.
I'd say a minimum of 3. You're gonna do your power. You're gonna have some type of 120 volt for your heater, right? And battery charger or battery heater, okay? And then you're also probably gonna have some type of low voltage wire between the transfer switch and the actual generator, aren't you? Okay, at least 3. Okay. Sometimes that's missed. Okay. So those would be, that's our generator, and that one there is actually a rather large generator, isn't it? Okay. It's a pretty big generator from what I see.
They look like the airport.
Yeah, yeah. Page 8, we have this single line. Okay. And so what this is telling us here, single line arrangement alternating power source with transfer switching for an EES. And so I don't know if you're going to read this or not, I think you can, but over here we have a generator. Okay, over to the left we have a generator, of course we have a charger, we got a circuit breaker, maybe required. Usually there's a circuit breaker inside of the generator in there. You know, there's a box that we feed, you know, and it's got a circuit breaker on it. Now if you look here, this is our alternate power, and the main thing we see in here is the alternate power, or the generator, is used for what? What is this panel right here? What is this called?
Central electrical.
Yeah, Central Electrical System Distribution Panel, isn't it? Okay. Generator power. Now up here, this is their normal power coming in. Utility, we have a service over current device. We have a feeder over current devices. Okay, but these are, and then we see here, we just have a normal distribution power, don't we? Do we have a generator run into that? No, we don't. Okay. So therefore, the generator, if we're sizing it, does it have to be sized for the entire load of the building? Typically speaking, probably not. You know, particularly in a hospital or something, because they get very expensive, they get very large. And so, you know, this is critical, but here's the thing that we see doing here, we see that there's actually, the key thing is here, is separating the power and distribution panels. Because what's going to happen here in this distribution panel, we're going to have, and we're going to really talk about this, because one of the confusing things I think for an electrician to do is to wire this right here. Transfer switch. You may wire transfer switch. Yeah. You got to be careful how this thing is connected. Okay. Matter of fact, we had a mistake on a job recently because, if I remember right, I'm trying to remember. I got to remember the details. But the phasing was actually different from the top to the bottom. You would think it would A, B, C. If it was on the top, you think it would be A, B, C on the bottom, but it wasn't. And because of that, we were having issues in the building because we actually didn't check the phasing, and it wasn't marked appropriately from from the generator people. So we went on for months and months thinking it was something other than what it was, until we actually figured out that the rotation was wrong, because the phasing was wrong. There's a lot that goes into wiring this transfer, and to making sure that you are, so we got 3 connection points inside of a transfer switch, right? 3 connections. You're gonna have 3 different feeders coming in. Because look, you're gonna have one coming from what? Generator power. You're gonna have one coming from what? Normal power. And then you got one what?
Supply.
Going out. So you got 2 lines and 1 load. You best be connecting this in the right place.
Ain't it kind of like a 3-way switch? Almost.
Yeah, I would say
Kinda
that.
looks like a diagram.
Yeah, I mean it's just, you know, it's open or closed, one or the other. Yeah, I would say that it is. Yeah, pretty much. But here, now look here what they've done. So they've broken this down into their 3 categories, haven't they? And so you could have multiple transfer switches. Typically what I see as far as as far as transfer switches, as I see at a maximum, there's usually 2. And one would be for life safety, and the other one for equipment in installations that we normally, because we don't do healthcare facilities. But even in like an office environment, I see that there's one for life safety and equipment, because life safety means what? What is life safety now? Think about life safety inside of a building. What would life safety inside of an office building be? Lighting. Okay. What would equipment be?
Computers.
Computers. Is that critical to get out of the building? Computer? No. So it's on a different switch than the life safety, isn't it? Okay. And that's kind of overlooked sometimes, but that is a requirement in NEC that this life safety be on a separate transfer switch than equipment branch. And it's actually just something that we've started doing as a company in the last year or so. Kind of caught that and went, oh, you know, we might want to be doing this. And it's not a common thing to do. Okay. But delay switching of the EES equipment system may be used if the alternate cannot tolerate the total. In other words, what you can do then when we delay switching, let's say a non-critical load equipment branch inside of a building. Is it critical that the air conditioning work within 10 seconds? No. What's the largest load probably inside this building?
AC.
Probably the AC or the heat, right? And so let's say we got 2 large rooftop units on the building. Guess what's going to happen, Cameron, when those rooftop units start up? What's going to happen when that rooftop unit starts up? It's got a motor on it. What's going to happen?
It's going to like shoot up.
Going to have a large surge, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How about if that generator can't handle the large surges of those 2 rooftop units together? Then what are we allowed to do? Delayed switching. Coordination with the HVAC contractor, they put controls on there to where Unit A comes on in 30 seconds and Unit B comes on in 3 minutes. And so therefore the critical stuff comes up immediately, and you would never know that air conditioning was off for 3 minutes, right? You could probably do it 30 minutes and you wouldn't know. Particularly if you're trying to get out of the building. Or you know, so those are some things. That's probably where delayed switching is used the most, would be for your HVAC units. And that's where, because that's where your largest load's at. That makes sense. The building that we did, we had 2 large rooftop units, and they had the generator was not sized to do the whole building, but they wanted the rooftop units on. The only way to do that, once they're up and running, they'll handle the load. But that surge sometimes is so much that it would kick. If they both tried to come on at the same time, it would kick the circuit breaker on the generator, and you didn't do that. Okay. So that's the purpose. Everybody understand this single line right here? Everybody get that? Everybody understand what we're doing there? Okay. All right. Let's see if there's anything else I want to go over tonight. Additional grounding and bonding requirements. 51714, I think we've taken a look at that. We'll take some look at some more NECs next week as we go. Where's grounding found in your NEC? Article what? 250. As you can see there, there's some additional requirements that may be doing that. How about the review questions in the back? Any idea what the answers are? Anybody want to guess?
Number one is 2.
Essential electrical system used in a limited care facility would be a, y'all agree with it, probably be a type 2. Okay, that's good. And we probably didn't go over this one actually that much, but let's see if we can find ground fault detection is used in addition to phase over current devices to provide protection against what? Any idea? No, not really, no.
Low.
It's actually C, low magnitude short circuit. And I think we would have found that. I'm not sure where we would have found it. Let's see where we would have found that. 1.2.3, let's turn back there somehow over ground fault. Okay. Yeah. Matter of fact, it's found in the first paragraph. It's actually at the top of page 8. Low magnitude ground fault short circuit. So where we find that. Okay. All right. So for next week, you got homework. I give you your homework, section 2. So you are to read page 11 through. Matter of fact, we get into devices. So 11 through 17, we get into different devices used in a healthcare facility. Here, we would definitely be looking at the code book and understanding device interpretation, hospital grade, isolated grade, tamper resistant, all different kinds of devices that are used within a facility. So that'll be for next week. Okay, all right? Everybody good? Y'all turn in your attendance to me, please.